And when you say the words general and abstract, I'm not really sure what you mean. You've also talked about how Polkadot is a meta protocol. Are those concepts related? And can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes, they are. They are. So a meta protocol is it's like a meta means sort of after or beyond, and it's generally used to mean like the next sort of step down past this concept. So it's like, you know, a meta protocol is a protocol that governs another protocol, a protocol on which you can place another protocol. It's like a protocol of a protocol, or protocol of protocols. And what I mean by meta protocol in this sense really is that it's an underlying kind of much more basic, much simpler protocol on which we build what we would normally consider to be the protocol. So to take an example, the protocol of Bitcoin is, well, we send blocks around, and these blocks, when you execute them, when you interpret the blocks or the transactions in them, there are, you know, transactions with like some script, but basically most of the time it means send these Bitcoins to these addresses. And that's a protocol. We like the nodes of the Bitcoin network understand how to interpret these blocks, right? It's language basically. But it's very difficult. Once you've set that language, it's kind of set in stone. It's very difficult to alter it, to change it, to introduce additional features, to fix bugs. And you know, it's like it's very rigid. A meta protocol would sit underneath that protocol and define that protocol. And the nice thing is that because it's defined in terms of this meta protocol, then you can change it quite easily. You just have to obey the rules of the meta protocol, and then the main protocol can adapt and evolve and iterate over time. So then the question is, well, why is that? You know, what if you need to adapt, evolve, and iterate on the meta protocol? And the idea with that is that we make it as simple and as abstract as possible. We take a pre-existing technology, something that has already kind of been iterated through, something that very clever people from many different sort of stakeholders have already argued about and sort of come to the decision that this is probably the best thing that does this kind of meta protocolistic stuff. And what we did was, well, we chose basically WebAssembly, because WebAssembly is like an industry standard. It's been iterated on. It's actually the already two separate technologies, one built by Mozilla, one built by Google, has sort of been splunged together into this thing, WebAssembly. So it's already got a lot of ideas. It's already had a lot of iterations. It's unlikely that we're ever really going to need to change it, and therefore it's really good foundation to build our stuff on, this meta protocol. And then we just have to define everything else in terms of that. And that's where the protocol comes in. So the real Polkadot protocol, parachains and governance and balancing and dot protocol and staking, all of this stuff is the Polkadot protocol. And that stuff changes over time, but it's defined in terms of the meta protocol that doesn't really change over time. And that's the stuff that we make sure that we've got this like tried and tested, very sort of well understood, well known technology in, like WebAssembly. So yeah, it is a lot about being flexible and abstract, because this top level, the Polkadot protocol, is not very abstract. I mean, it is, parachains are pretty good, but they're still a very specific way of having different sort of shards. They're a specific way of scaling. They're a specific way of having a market mechanism to claim them. So it's still like opinionated, as we would say. There's still a lot of opinions involved in it. Whereas the WebAssembly isn't very opinionated at all. It's not even our opinion. It's someone else's, Google's and Mozilla's and Microsoft's and all of their opinions, really. We just said, right, well, you guys have had time to argue about whose opinion is best. We'll take the answer and use it, because we don't want to argue. We just want to have something that's stable. And that's sort of, because of that, it's a more abstract level that we can build things on. So there is this, like, these dual levels. The meta protocol, very abstract, very general, doesn't change very much, and the protocol much more opinionated, more specific, changes a lot because we don't, our opinions are always wrong. In the fullness of time, opinions are always wrong. They always need changing. Design always needs changing. It iterates over time, and we want to allow ourselves to evolve. And that's why having these two separate protocols, the meta protocol on the bottom, the protocol building on top of it, is how we achieve that.